Hey guys, so here we are on episode 4 with Fun Girl Podcast. I'm really not sure how many episodes I'm gonna do this season. I haven't really thought that far ahead. We're just kind of starting out still, so as long as you guys are enjoying it, and then most importantly I'm enjoying it, then it doesn't really matter, I guess. But I guess maybe if I think about it, I might have about like 8 to 10 episodes and then take a little break and then put out a season 2. So we will see, but I kind of figure this episode is kind of like a halfway-ish point because I haven't really decided if I want to do 8 or 10, so we will see. Anyhow, here we are, almost kinda halfway through January. It's kind of crazy to think, but at the same time, not surprising because, as a lot of us know, time really does fly. It's crazy. I've just gotten so used to time moving fast, but lately it's just been scaring me more and more, just like really thinking about it. Like, man, can't catch a break, can't get a moment to catch your breath, to get yourself together, get your life together. It's just you constantly moving to the tune of the world, I guess, like the pace, and just life doesn't stop for anyone, I suppose, except for when it does decide to stop. I don't really know how to explain that. Anyways, I'm sure some of you might be wondering, where's the video? Because I am a video podcaster, so this episode, no video. I will just be completely honest with you. I didn't really have the energy to go through doing the whole setup and the shebang and the recording and all that, and plus I'm just kind of like, this day that I decided to finally get off my ass and record an episode, and not really looking the best that I would want to be on camera, so just gonna have to live without a video this week. I hope that'll do. I will maybe have some type of like substitute here, probably just be the image of the show, but if you're listening or watching this on YouTube, maybe it'll be something different. I don't know yet. Don't hold me to that. Anyways, so I am just feeling kind of relaxed and laying in bed, and I'm talking with you guys. And this episode, we're going to be talking about needing space and just kind of like disappearing a little bit. That's something that I have mastered over the years a lot. Now, where to begin? I will say that my journey with trying to figure out how to have my own space and distance myself, when it's that time that your mind and your body's kind of telling you that you need space from everyone and just everything. Sorry if you can hear that. I live by a train, so that might happen a few more times. But yeah, I guess trying to think of where I really could tell that I was someone who like prioritized distancing myself and like creating this space as like a safety net. I feel like it probably started in maybe like middle school or high school. I was a friend who, and I really do feel bad about this because I didn't know how to navigate it and explain myself, and people also don't know how to understand those things a lot of the time. But I was the friend who would just kind of go ghost. Like, I'd go MIA, no explanation. Old friends would think like I'm mad at them or something or whatever, and I'll get into that kind of stuff in a different episode. But here, just I would go into these like mental hiatuses where I'm just not doing well, or there's a lot of stuff going on, and whatever the case is, they're just in a weird place that I don't want to answer the phone, or I don't want to really talk to people. I think I've always been that kind of person that prioritized me needing space over like other people's feelings, and that's something that I do feel bad about, but sometimes you just can't. And I think for a majority of the times that I would go ghost and allow myself that opportunity to just be isolated, I haven't really felt that bad about it, because hey, like, I know that I needed that. So yeah, as I was saying, it kind of started in like the middle school or high school days, and maybe to some people back then it might have come off as like a little bit toxic, or it would happen at like a inconvenient time, like after a dispute, or maybe you just are confused and you feel like you needed to reach out to me, but I'm just not answering the phone. You're going through something, you're trying to reach out to me, but I just so happen to be in the middle of like social hiatus. Then it wasn't really in my best interest. It would cause some problems for me. And the same is for family. I've done this with family as well, where I just kind of go into a little hiatus. I disappear for a little bit, and there's a lot of like immaturity that would come from that, but also too just like me prioritizing what I feel like I needed, which was some space and distance. And I think that's always done me well, but then at the same time it's kind of a curse. I keep seeing this post circulating from like TikTok and Instagram, where it's basically explaining that our toxic traits are kind of the opposite of what our love languages are. And one of them is, for example, if like your love language is like words of affirmation, like you need that and you like reassurance, that kind of thing, but then your toxic trait is disappearing and ignoring people. And that's me. I think at some point my mind kind of like chiseled me into being that person that would do that, and I've gotten a lot better, but there's still parts of me that I just cannot help it. And it goes along with like my personality just in general as well. When you're already kind of like a bad texter, that kind of thing, and then you have your moments where you go ghost and you need space and you're kind of stressed out. Those things, for me at least, go hand in hand. Excuse me, gosh. Those things for me go hand in hand, at least. I don't know. So anyhow, moving forward with the timeline of me and my needing space journey, I also value my space over, like, I guess, responsibility sometimes. So if I had some class thing and I know that I could like get out of it, like if it was a virtual class or something, and I felt like I don't have the time to interact, I just can't do this right now, like I just need to be alone, whatever, I'm not taking the responsible road. I'm taking the selfish road that's letting me stay in this little bubble of isolation, and that's just that. No one can change my mind, especially now where no one can really tell me what to do because I'm an adult, I live on my own, that kind of thing. Yeah, it was a little harder to really truly do that in high school and middle school because, you know, you got to get permission to stay home, and then you can't just stay home because of blah blah blah, that stuff. But yeah, like I have definitely been the type of person to prioritize that. And why I will admit it is not the healthiest thing to do, especially if you're someone like me where one of your love languages or your love language is, you know, words of affirmation and reassurance. It's not healthy. If you want that kind of thing, you can't really do that to other people because other people need that sometimes too. And it's also bad on yourself because you're creating these negative opportunities for people to be upset with you and whatever. And though I wish a lot more people were willing to understand the need for space and being respectful of that process, not a lot of people are. And sometimes your family isn't either. My family has gotten mad at me. I've tried to justify it and maybe take it back. But yeah, like my friends, my family, they've gotten upset at me for how I choose to create space for myself. Or I guess my like constant need for space every now and then. And I think it really just took its turn that I am now kind of like in general a loner. Like I think I kind of value that, and it comes from me needing so much space all the time that this just feels kind of comfortable. And along with needing space, it's just like I'm at the point now, because I am on this loner path, that I get to choose when I want to interact and when I don't, which is great because I don't live with people. Like I live with my boyfriend, but I don't live with people that, you know, takes out that equation of having to interact on a day that I don't really want to, or, you know, which is another thing I feel bad about, by the way. But sometimes I will get texts, and I am a really bad texter. Better to just call me sometimes. But I'll get a text, and then it's just something in me that cannot bring myself to open it and respond or read sometimes. Like, it's just a part of me that's like, I just don't have the energy for a conversation right now. But here, I'll send you this meme that I saw that's funny, but you respond to me, it's too much. I can't. I just need my space. I just wanted to send you this to let you know that I'm thinking about you, and I'm not trying to be a bad person or a bad friend, but, you know, that's just something else as well that I do nowadays to try to balance it out. But yeah, it's just kind of great for me, at least. The loner thing has its perks. It also has its downsides. So those are two perks so far, you know, that I get to choose when I want to interact with people, and I get to choose when I want to answer the phone or not. And I feel that maybe not everyone, but majority of people in my life currently are pretty understanding of that. I don't have to do any explaining afterwards, or no one is trying to call me out because they're upset or offended that I didn't text them back, or, you know, whatever the case is, because for the most part, just dealing with people who understand me well enough and have their own stuff going on, that they can move along without trying to guilt me into feeling like needing space a little bit every now and then is like so completely terrible and just like against the rules that if I do it, everything that we have as a friendship or whatever kind of relationship is dead. I have dealt with that before, and I now know that those kind of people are kind of selfish because they can't allow themselves to see it from your perspective, whereas I can see from the other person's perspective, like how needing space sometimes can hurt other people. So you have to give a little, but also keep your boundaries. And for me, my boundaries are sometimes I may not answer the phone. We may not see each other for a little while, and that's just because I don't always feel like hanging out. Or maybe, hey, I bent my back a little bit to give so much of my energy to you, but at this moment in time, I don't really have anything to give, so I have nothing to offer, and therefore we might not have a conversation, or we might not hang out, or whatever the case is. But yeah, space is important to me, and that's something I think is always going to be how I am, and I am completely fine with that. But there are parts that I do hate, and I also feel like will always be a part of me being a person who values their space, like feeling bad for, maybe like you skipped out on plans with friends or something, to just stay home and do nothing. I think I've done that before. Maybe I dished out an excuse, or maybe something really did happen, but I get excited that I don't have to go anymore and I don't have to interact and like put out this extra energy that I felt like I was digging deep to even have in the first place. I don't know, man. I just feel greatly bad sometimes for me doing that. And I think it's just because like I've had a friend in the past who really used to be so hurt by that, and I felt like unapologetic. But then there was parts of me that finally started to understand, like, wow, this really upsets people because you do have people who care about you, so you can't always be like that. And I also feel like it's genetic. I feel like this is something that I've inherited from a family member that I do have in mind, but I know that it's partly something that I can't control, but yet it's something that I am in control of, and I have worked on and tried to develop a healthy balance of. So maybe you feel the same way. Does anyone out there who's listening ever think that, like, you feel bad for doing that to your friends or your family? Because I know that I do, and then I get upset that I feel so bad, because it's like, it is what it is. Like, you feel bad for putting yourself first. I don't know. But on top of that, it's kind of just like what I was saying about skipping out on plans and stuff, and you feel bad about it. I don't know, like, lately I feel like more often than not, I choose to stay by myself because I like my space. I like just laying in my bed, not doing anything, not talking to anyone for a whole day, just watching like TikTok edits and YouTube videos and movies and TV shows like that. I really, really love it, and I've grown to love it. I used to kind of associate binging a TV show for a whole weekend by myself as like pathetic because I had no plans, but now I love it. And every now and then I come home from work and I take a shower and I get in my bed and I just like roll around. I'm like, God, I wish that I could stay here forever. I wish I never had to leave this spot. I could just sit here and eat in my bed and watch TV and listen to music or whatever else I'm doing. I just wish that I could do this every day, all day, and never have to leave. I don't really feel bad about that. I know that's like a pretty common thing, but I don't know, it just kind of ties into the bigger picture of me kind of choosing to be by myself more often than not. And I think that's just because I've grown to love my own company, but also just loving my space. I feel, for the first time in a long time, I think I feel this much like euphoria from just being in my room by myself, because I have my own house that I just have to myself. And unless my boyfriend is here, I'm just completely alone, at peace. And now I associate my space with peace, which is something that I fought for so long. When you know, lived in like crazy oh, there goes the train again. But yeah, like when you've gone from like living in a household full of people, or just a household with kind of toxic negative energy, that kind of thing, oh gosh, I think that it's all coming together for me now. It makes so much more sense why I value my space and being alone, because I haven't really felt like I had peaceful lonesomeness in a long time. I've lived on my own now for almost 2 years, but still at times I just sit and I look at the walls of my room as I'm doing nothing, and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Like you really have this, and no one can take it away from you. So when you get there, whatever point in your life you finally achieve that, you'll see that it's something that you will value. Your space is something you value. And I take that stuff really, really seriously. Like, there are 2 things that I own that I have a very, very careful consideration into whom I let in. My house and my car. I have rarely invited anyone to my house since I've lived here, because, you know, aside from the fact that I don't really have that many people to invite over, I take very, very seriously who I'm bringing into my space, who could be bringing these negative energies or wishing me bad secretly, whatever. Valuing your space is really important sometimes, because no one can mess it up for you unless you allow them to, or you allow yourself to. There was a time that I gave someone a ride, right? And this was someone that I had a feeling was just they were being kind of stink, whatever, right? And then they made a comment about my car, and after I dropped them off, my car had a problem with it. Never, ever, besides that one time. And I've had my car for two years now. Wow, that's crazy. I've had my car basically for 2 years now. That was the only time ever that I ever had an issue with it. And that is, to me, that was a big red flag that just made me feel like, all right, this car of mine is a precious space that I need to not just let anybody in here, because look what happens when you do. That, oh my gosh, that really showed me. I got my car before I got my house. And so I took the same idea that I have with my car to my house. And I care more about my house, the space that I have, and the energy that I'm allowing in here and who I'm allowing in here, because this is, a bigger space. There's so many rooms to have, different energies in and that kind of thing. So I don't want anyone to be in here and ruin my space for me. So I will just definitely put it out there. I kind of have an idea in my head of potential people that I see coming into my house, and people that I know I will never let into my house, or just whatever. There's probably a list of maybe 7 people in total who I personally feel yeah, they could come in, they could come over, but really not too many people could just come into my space. And that's something that I stand firm on, and I truly value. And that's just like my word of advice to future like car owners and homeowners. Be very, very careful who you allow into your spaces, because it brings energy. People bring their energy with them. So just be careful of that. Moving forward though, I've learned through how much I value having my own car, having my own house, and being able to walk around and just, you know, drive around in my car in peace and walk around my house in peace. I learned that I could never, ever go back. I can never go back to like living with other people. I can never go back to being in a situation where I don't have my own, because I value my space too much, and I value the process that I am allowed to freely go through of whether or not I want to, you know, have social interaction, or whether or not I want to have people over, you know, whether or not I'm concerned with the type of people are around. I cannot go back to not having my own, because you have no say on those things when it's not yours. And I've been in that situation too many times, being in other people's cars, and there's people that made me feel uncomfortable and I knew were just like a bad vibe, and being in a house that too many people were invited to too often, or like whatever, like you can't leave, that kind of thing. Can never go back. Really, really and truly. And that's another thing, like when you do get your own, you really truly value it, you'll see like it's hard to go back. And I personally know that I can't fail, because I can't do it. I just love being alone too much. I think that's okay. That's important, and it's a very valuable asset. I think I kind of go through a healthy process with it now. So, you know, if you're like that, if you're like me, where you do value your space, you do want to be alone, you do like being alone, or you wish that you had the opportunity to do those things, you just got to create those opportunities for yourself while also not neglecting the people around you. I think that's very important, because when you're done, you still would hope that these people are in your corner and these people aren't upset and there aren't pieces for you to pick up. So yeah, that's really all I have to say about needing space. Figure out what works for you and just create it, because space is awesome and it's healthy, and I couldn't see it going any other way. Aside from that, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you took something from it. Again, sorry that there was no video. I hope that you could still be engaged, and that you just stay tuned for what else we have to come in the future. Otherwise, I will see you guys next time. We'll talk and just catch up on whatever it is I'm gonna blab about next. So thank you. Bye bye.